with other political rappers, to the point that there's been articles in the paper that New York and LA had hip-hop units, rap units that were training
police units around the country to target rappers.
And not just target them for arrest, but actually, there's been murders.
There's been murders after
that training started.
And so I've got evidence of how that's continued.
Sadly enough, and so I hope to stop it by getting the information out there. I hope to contribute to stopping it.
Sadly enough, and so I hope to stop it by getting the information out there. I hope to contribute to stop.
African American in this chat. If there was a show called Dear Black People or Dear African Americans, you know what I'm saying? Just according to the title, not thoroughly listening to the show. Obviously, I understand the concept behind the show, but if there was a fucking show from a white person's perspective, now I'm 100%, 1,000% African American. If there was a show called Dear Black People about white people's stereotypes about how maybe we think the majority of the race is racist, or how, you know what I'm saying, like how we're stereotyping them, thinking they're racist, it's not going to be a move forward. So the idea is, okay, I understand that racism is very well alive, but if we're working towards equality, how is it that basically even acknowledging the stereotype is going to move us forward? We can't move forward if we're acknowledging the ignorance. The ignorance has to come to a complete halt. Therefore, we can no longer acknowledge it. So, way back down to, I'd like to say, Martin Luther King's times, he ignored the violence. He ignored the bullshit and worked forward in a passive-aggressive way and proved that basically he was smart enough and peaceful enough and was self-conscious enough to ideally move past all the violence. So we can't move forward, ideally, if we're not really going towards equality. You understand what I'm saying? I want you guys to thoroughly talk about this on Instagram and Twitter, because this is what I really want to talk about. This is what I'm really dwelling into. I'm really dwelling into politics at this point in time and covering things that I feel like is more important than the bullshit that's going on. But obviously, yes, I know the show. They came up with the show a long time ago. But ideally, I saw it on Twitter about someone saying, "Yo, if this was in a reverse situation, you guys would be fucking pissed." You know, a fucking Caucasian said, you guys would be pissed. And I absolutely agree, because we can't move forward paying attention to these type of things. Now, it is very much so true. There is still, racism is very much so alive. Stereotypical white people are still very much so alive. Obviously, they have KKK fucking marches all the time. I very much so agree with the concept behind the show. But the name in itself, I felt like maybe was just a little bit, just a little bit pokey. You get what I'm saying? I feel like I felt like it was too much. And I don't agree with anything that puts down a race. You need to understand, not all white people are fucking racist. The idea is, if you want to say something in specific, right, to that specific amount of people, the smart name for the show would have been Dear Racist People, or Dear Stereotypical People. You understand? Saying Dear White People was generalizing that idea, concept of racism and people being stereotypical. You understand? So that doesn't exactly make sense. I have white friends, I have black friends, I have Asian friends, I have Indian friends, I have Muslim friends. This doesn't make sense. And generalizing anything doesn't make sense. If you want to target someone or something, you need to target that specific. So the smart thing would have been, say, hey, Dear Racist People, not Dear White People, not Dear Black People. Because if it was reversed, I would have been mad. I would have went on Twitter and say, what the fuck?